Hey guys, it's Sam, and welcome to Caps Lock, a podcast designed to help you live bigger, better, louder, and longer. Before we get started, I just want to thank you guys for listening and for giving this a chance and for coming here in pursuit of your best self. This is a space where we are going to grow together, and my hope is that it helps you go forward confidently, unapologetically, and with purpose. It's time to live your life in Caps Lock. If that mission feels aligned for you, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And let's dive in. Guys, I would intro our guest today, but you already know her. Hi, Lindsey.
Hi, thanks for having me back on the show.
Sorry for always having time on your calendar. You have a baby, you have another baby coming, you've got a podcast, you've got stuff going on.
I love to be here with you.
Okay, amazing. This is always so fun for me. And to fill everyone in, the reason we're here today, as you can probably tell from the episode title, is the last time we met, we got such great response to our convo about single dating, the whole nine. And there were a bunch of girlies in my DMs being like, love all of her advice. I feel like I could really use it, except that I'm in a relationship. And I was like, totally. So I just wanted to talk to you about being in relationships, and the relationships we're going to talk about today span from basically immediately after official, because a lot of people have questions about like the very early parts of being official, all the way through like having marriage and kids and how that changes a relationship. So I want to start with one that I feel like is really big in my DMs, which says to me it's probably huge in yours, which is I love you. Like the conversation. This episode is brought to you by Whoop. Whoop is the only wearable that turns your health and fitness data into personalized guidance. I've been wearing my Whoop for over 2 years now, and I can confidently say that the new model is an amazing upgrade. The new device is 7% smaller than the previous model, and the new battery lasts for 2 full weeks before you need to recharge. But those aren't even my favorite features. First, Whoop now tracks women's cycles with hormonal insights. We talk about our hormones all the time on Caps Lock, and we know how much they affect our health and wellness, not to mention our day-to-day experience of the world. This is huge. Second, the new Whoop includes a feature called Health Span, which tells you your physiological age and how your daily habits impact your pace of aging. Then gives you custom advice for slowing your pace of aging and ultimately lowering your Whoop age. And third, Whoop now offers heart health features, including on-demand blood pressure and ECG readings, so you can check in on your heart anytime and share results with your healthcare provider. This is important for everyone, but especially as my loved ones start to get older, I've gotten them all on the new Whoop because it could literally be a lifesaver. You know how I feel about my health, proactive and preventative. And the new Whoop is my #1 teammate in wellness. Join now at join.whoop.com/Samantha Fair. That's join.whoop.com/Samantha Fair. I get all the time, everything is perfect, but he hasn't said it yet. And like, he acts so great and he's respectful and like our families love each other and he always texts back and like he does all these things, but the words are not coming out of his mouth. What's up with that?
It's literally the biggest topic in my
Yeah.
DMs. You're right. And on Ask Me Anythings, I hate it personally, but I've spoken like at length with a lot of people, including some fuckboys that I have on my podcast. And the reality is it's a twofold. If he hasn't said I love you yet, he either straight up doesn't love you yet. I mean, obviously.
Right.
Or he's just afraid of the words because they have a lot of meaning and they hold a lot of weight. And so he knows that once it's I love you, it's like off to the races with everything being more serious.
And it feels like there isn't really a backwards from there, right?
There isn't. And also to, be lighthearted and jokey, like after I love you comes like farting. It comes like things that aren't as sexy.
Yeah.
And so, people know that.
I think we can a lot of times tell the difference if we really sit down and think about like, okay, he doesn't love me, or he does, he's just having trouble saying it. Is there any circumstance under which it's like okay for the girl to nudge that conversation along? And if so, like, how do you do it? Or do you just walk?
Yeah, I mean, the girl's not going to go to the jail if she says I love you first, but it's just not a good feeling.
Yeah.
And I have so many friends who were the women who said I love you first in the situation. Most of those friends, it was like a college sweetheart or
Sure.
high school sweetheart, and they did it when they were like 22, you know?
Right.
When you're in a mature relationship, like in your late 20s, early 30s, there's no confusion. Like they either love you or they don't, and
Yeah.
you don't need to be the one to say it. You can if you are so confident that they love you and they have truly showed you in every action, every other thing, and you truly think that you need to be the one, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's just not a good feeling. It's such an amazing feeling
Yeah.
for the man to say I love you at like in a hetero situation that I just really advise against it personally.
I agree, and I feel like it's the empty win we talked about last time where you have to ask, like, "What are we?"
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like a win.
It's not a win, and I have so many single friends of my husband's that will date girls, and I'll always get the play-by-plays, and whenever the girl says, "I love you" first, I know it's over.
It's dead in the water.
Mhm.
That's so interesting. I remember when my boyfriend said it the first time, I was kind of saying with my best friend, I was kind of like, "He hasn't said it yet. Like, is that weird?" And she was like, "No, it's been like 2.5, 3 months. It's definitely about to come." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay." And I waited until he said it, and it felt so much better than trying to, like, dig around for it. It just felt so much better to wait and let him do it. But also, he said when he said it, he was like, "I've loved you for a while now,
Aw.
but, like, I'm just
That's
saying it
that's
now."
how he should say it.
Yeah.
And how many months in was that?
That was, like, right up around 3.
Uh-huh.
And I was kind of saying to my friend, like, "I know Lindsay's rule, 3, 3,
Yeah,
3."
yeah.
I'm starting to freak out.
Yeah.
And she was like, "I think you're fine." And, like, felt like it was very obvious that he did because of his actions
Yeah.
and all the other words. But keeping that rule in mind and also having been burned in the past with, like,
Yeah.
the official timeline, the I
Mhm.
love you timeline, all that, I was, like, so in my head.
I really like that he knew it, but didn't say it the second it came into his like his head, because that just shows that he's a thoughtful person. And I think that's
Mhm.
such a green flag for a man to be like I remember when Steven said I love you to me, he was like, you know, I love you, right? Like
Yeah,
it, and similar to your boyfriend, like he was like, you know, I felt this for a while, you know, it's
exactly.
almost love bomby if they're like, "Oh, I think I love her. I love you." You
Yeah,
know? Like, he
totally.
ruminated on it, he's thoughtful, and I think, like, he will probably take those actions into the next steps. Like, for
Yes.
example, you know, if he wants to marry you, he's not gonna be like, "Sam, I think I wanna marry you," you know?
Right. Exactly. It's funny because in every other relationship, I have had such, like, insecurity around the timeline and the commitment and everything, and in this one, I, like, couldn't pinpoint for you when we were like, "We're totally getting married," and,
Yeah,
like, talking about the wedding and
because you're
stuff,
not
like, you know?
worried about it.
Right. It really is a different feeling. It brings me to kind of like a double question here, which is like you have your 333 rule, which I'd love for you to re-explain for anyone who doesn't know what it is, and having a timeline conversation, which like one of your rules is like have the timeline conversation before it's too late.
Mm.
When is too late?
Mhm.
How do you even bring that conversation up? Because I
Mhm.
think a lot of women in their heads, they're like, I'm going to be so confident about this because I know what I want. And then they get there with their partner and they're like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm too scared. So if you don't mind reiterating
Yeah.
333 and then let's talk about the timeline.
Totally. So 333 rule is by 3 weeks, you know if you like someone. By 3 months, you probably know if you love them or have real feelings for them. And by 3 years, you definitely know if you want to marry them. However, I think a lot of people get confused being like, you shouldn't wait 3 years for a proposal. And it's like, no, 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 duh.
Yes.
But if you haven't gotten anything from someone in 3 years, you need to walk away. It should
Yes.
happen before 3 years. Of course, it depends on your age and, you
Right.
know, all of that stuff. But let's use a 20. How old are you?
I'm 20. I just turned 28.
Okay, let's use a 28-year-old as an example. If you're 28 and you're dating for 3 years and, you know, you then turn, I'm like so bad at math.
31.
You turn 31
Yeah.
and there's not been a proposal, it's not going to happen.
Totally. I would be losing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I had told you this the last time we chatted, but when my boyfriend and I went out for our Valentine's Day dinner, we do your questions all the time. I love the polls. And you had some fresh ones up on Valentine's Day when we got to dinner. And just as we were sitting down, I was still on my phone and I was like, oh, should we spend the first few minutes sitting down on Valentine's Day dinner doing the poll
I
questions?
love it.
Because I saw some and I was like, this will be a good like indicator of like where
Mm-hmm.
this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And the poll question was about 333. And I said that to him and he was like, I think it's crazy to wait 3 years. And I was like, I love him. I'm obsessed with him. He's perfect.
Obsessed.
But okay, I like 333 because I think a lot of times people will be like, but everything else is so good. What, like, is it the same as I love you? They're just like scared to make the commitment, or you think like when everything else is perfect, but they won't take that step? Or is it just like, is it
Then
always just they don't want
yeah,
to
no,
marry you?
everything isn't perfect
Yeah,
then,
I think that's right. And you're just,
Because yeah, and I've had so many friends who thought that there was some sort of exception. Like I had a friend who now is happily married with kids, but was dating someone who kept raising a round of funding for his startup. And he was like, "No, I'm raising. Like I
hmm,
can't like
I
get
can't buy a
engagement. Like
ring.
I'm raising like for my start." And it's like, "What?" Like
Also, that's different money.
exactly. But also like it was a clear
Yeah,
excuse, and I think we want to believe the best in people because we're women and we're kind and empathetic, and
yeah,
it's not always the case.
yeah.
But going to the second part about when do you have this timeline discussion, the earlier the better.
Hmm.
But you don't have it as like, when are we getting engaged? You have it
Totally.
as like, what do you see like in your
Mhm.
life? Like, do you see yourself as someone who's, married and has kids by 31? Do you see it more as like 35? Like,
Mhm.
and the reason I say the earlier the better for this is because one of the questions that is kind of an interview question, but it can also be a good date question is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Mm.
And especially if you were going out with someone today as a 28-year-old and you asked that and they were like, I don't know. Like,
Huge red flag. Like,
yeah.
you're a 30-something,
Correct.
sir.
So by then you'll be, again, so
Right.
bad at math over here.
Right.
By then you'll be 28 plus 5. And if you are not, if this man says, I don't know, like maybe starting a relationship, whatever they say,
Right.
you'll know where their timeline is at.
Totally.
I think there are exceptions, as in like a lot of men don't think about their timeline the same way
Mhm.
that women do. So at the very least, you want to hear someone say something like, I want to be spending my life with someone,
Totally. Yeah.
and at least you know that they are looking to be married by then.
Yeah. So I guess for my besties who are listening, honestly, that sounds like a good conversation to have before you're even official.
Mm.
But I had this question like for later when we're talking about being engaged and like all of that. But what is your advice? Like, say you didn't have that conversation and now you're like maybe you're 2 years into the
Yeah.
relationship. You're not like Bermuda Triangle. There's no return from
Mhm.
this. But the conversation hasn't really come up naturally. Maybe there are vague conversations about like what your kids will be like one day or something like that. But we haven't talked about like actually timelining. Are we saving for a ring? Like, what are we thinking? How do you raise it then? Like, where does that come from?
Such a great question. And it's hard because you could, like, that could slip through the cracks easily,
Yeah,
but that's not something to be upset about. If everything is great in your relationship and you feel confident that this is going somewhere and they've only ever shown you that it is, then you're okay.
okay, great.
I think it's more just like that conversation will come up at the next milestone. So, are you going to move in together? If it's been 2 years, you should at least be having that conversation, if not already be living together.
Right.
I remember my husband and I had just moved in together, like maybe 2 months prior, and we had had an argument. And this is another thing, arguments get a bad rep, but they are so important
I
because
agree.
they really bring you closer and they allow those tough conversations. So we had had some sort of argument. I think because we come from different like households growing
Hmm.
up, where mine was a yelling household and his wasn't.
Oh.
And I yelled about something and he was like, "Oh, like this is so scary. Are we fighting?" And I was like, "No, this is just like how it
This
is."
is how we
Like
talk.
yeah, where I was
Yeah.
just
What are you
telling
talking
you to
about?
like get the soda.
Right.
But I said something like, and maybe this was a little toxic of me, but it was something like, if this isn't like working for you, something, right? And he was like, "No, I have in my mind like a future for us." And it was like
My heart.
it was so sweet,
Yeah.
but it was the reassurance I didn't realize I needed.
Totally.
And so that conversation can happen through like mending things too. It's not always sit you down. Where do you see this going?
Right.
It's, you know, of course people argue and disagree. And so how do you resolve from that? And like where like do you get comfort out of that
Yeah.
resolve?
Yeah. My boyfriend and I don't even know if I would call it an argument, but like a sort of difficult conversation early
Mhm.
on. And afterwards, when I was reflecting, I was actually in therapy. And I said to my therapist, this is the first time I've ever had like a hard conversation with a man where I felt like we got closer and stronger and better afterwards because we had such a clear vision of like where we were at, where it was going, where the values in the conversation lie.
Mhm.
And I was like, I was always so scared to fight that I would never raise anything. I would never speak my mind or talk about what I wanted because I was so scared that it was gonna, like, shatter everything. Because in the past it had.
Yeah.
But I really also think, what you were saying about arguments getting a bad rap, I actually think you can tell early on if you could work with someone if you have an argument and you feel better after.
Yes,
That's crazy.
1000%.
Yeah. So this again, we're like jumping around a little bit now, but I feel like a lot of people bring their own insecurities and like pasts, of course, and like baggage and stuff into relationships. And something that I did early on in my relationship, and I think a lot of people do, is like they make shit up in their heads about like what's going on and like how the other person feels. And like almost like when you said, like, if this isn't working for you, when like Steven has made no indication that it's not working for him, it's just like a blip.
Mm.
But I feel like we bring that in. Do you have like kind of like a rule of thumb or like when you sense yourself starting to bring your insecurities in that are totally unrelated to your current relationship? Is there like a little reset or something that people can do or like a mental thing that people can do to make a shift?
Well, first of all, you should definitely be in therapy,
Yeah, totes.
which everyone knows. But secondly, I don't think it's a crime to bring things in from a past relationship. But I think that there's a limit. So, for example, using the Stephen conversation, when I was like, well, if this isn't working for you, that was definitely my trauma from the
Mhm.
past.
Right, it's a little
Thinking,
self-sabotagey.
right. And thinking like, oh, we had a fight. So it's time to, break up. It's time
Yeah.
to pack it up and go
Yeah.
because, that's how it goes. And I think that it's actually really important how your partner reacts to that. And it's not like it's their duty to reassure you, but it is a part of it, like at least the first or second time.
Mhm.
And then you need to reel it the fuck in
Mhm.
and like basically check yourself.
Yeah.
And if you have nothing but reassurance from your partner and zero reason to think that they are ending the relationship, out to get you, doing the same things your ex did,
Mhm.
being unfaithful, whatever, then it's on you. So, like,
Yeah.
you have like two strikes
Yeah.
and then don't get to the third because at the third, you are
You're the
sabotaging.
problem.
Yeah.
Right, like, you're
Hmm.
continuing to bring something into the relationship that's not there.
Correct.
Totally. One of my followers asked what I thought was a good question. I think this might come from your content, and she might follow you already because it sounds like sort of a rule that you might have.
Yeah.
She said basically the 90-10 rule, not really
Mm.
the 10% insecurity, which I totally love and second. But sort of like 90% the relationship should be easy. And then like there's gonna be hard stuff, but that should really be like kind of a 10% thing. Those are the hard things. She wanted to know like what should always be easy, like what should the 90% be made of
Mm.
versus like what parts of the relationship are okay if they're hard.
Interesting. Okay. So I think that it got lost in translation a little because the 90-10 rule is the 90% is security that you
Right.
have in the relationship and the
Right.
10% is insecurity. But in the context of your question, I think what should be easy is like everything, Most things should be easy.
Yeah.
What should be hard is when hardships arise, right? Is
Right.
when I don't know, your in-laws want to live with you, or when you are going through money troubles, or when someone's sick, or when someone's making a career change. But there shouldn't be resting issues,
Right.
that like come up. And if they do, would ask yourself, why do I give a shit that they can't put their shoes away?
Right.
Like,
What does this
is it a
bug
bigger
in
thing?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say that. And I think it's just going back to the security thing, which is where like 90-10 came from.
Mhm.
I think that 90% security solves a lot of your problems in a
Totally agree.
relationship.
Yeah. I love the 10% insecurity rule, because I do feel like 100% insecure or 100% security, people stop trying and
Yeah.
caring and you become complacent and like too comfortable, which is another question I got a lot about. Like, once you get comfortable,
Mm,
people start slacking on things, right?
yeah.
And one that comes up a lot, at least in my DMs, because I do a lot of like fitness, wellness stuff, is
Mhm.
like, I gained healthy relationship
Yeah, I
weight.
saw that, and I have so many thoughts.
Really? Okay, tell me
Well,
your thoughts.
it's very normal to gain
Totes.
healthy relationship weight, and I remember and I'm curious how it was in the beginning with your boyfriend because you guys are kinda like a fitness couple.
Totally,
You
totally.
work out together,
Yeah.
which is, like, so cute. By the way, I
It's my
always see
favorite
them
thing.
in the mornings when I go to Barry's, they're on their way to Rumble.
Yeah.
Um, but I really the real kind of second beginning of my relationship with Steven was in COVID. And so
Right.
all we could do, there were no workout classes.
Oh,
All we could do was eat together. And that was like our love
totally.
language, is like me cooking for him and him bringing, Milk Bar or whatever was open at the time. And just like, eating and eating and eating. And there
Yeah.
was like maybe there started to be some virtual workouts, a couple months
Right.
in, but
But like, you're not doing this.
no, and I had gone kind of from a recent breakup, weight loss into
Mm.
this new relationship, immediate weight
Nightmare,
gain, and I
nightmare,
was like,
nightmare.
"Oh my god, I didn't even get to enjoy the
Right. You're
weight
like, wait, I
loss."
look so hot.
Yeah, and, it was very obvious, and then I just, like, wasn't enjoying how I felt, wasn't
Yeah.
enjoying how I looked, and I was like, "How did I get here?"
Yeah.
And again, like, some people love a healthy weight gain for them, and, like, I'm
Totally.
so happy for them. I personally didn't feel comfortable in my
Right.
body. So, I was like, "I need to stop eating the same way as this 6'4", 200-pound man
Oh my god, that's
and
a trap.
start" right?
It's
And
a trap.
start, getting back into my intuition of, like,
Yeah.
what do I want to eat? Like, I'm not
And
6'4",
how much?
and how much?
Oh my god,
Like, we
the
don't
way
need the
we
same portions.
no, and I'll literally, even when I cook or when we go to restaurants, he's like finishing a meal, having an entree
Yeah.
and an appetizer, and I'm like participating as if we're the same size. Not
Totally.
normal.
And also, it's like you start to eat on their schedule because you wanna
Yeah.
do everything with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not hungry 5 times a day. Like,
Right.
I'm good
But
3
you'll
times.
just eat because it's there.
Correct, and
Totally.
because 'cause they're like, "Let's go, like, get ice cream," and
And
you're
that's
like,
fun.
"Sure," like, "I love spending time with you," and all of a sudden you're eating ice cream, you're not even remotely hungry, you're so
Right.
full still from dinner.
Right.
And so I think it's like you need to get in tune with yourself again, but healthy weight gain in a new relationship is a green flag for sure.
Yeah.
It's just like then you need to kind of once you
Stabilize.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What do you think are some other things people slack on once they get past, like, the honeymoon stage? I feel like for some people it happens after official, and
Mm,
then I think for some people it's kind of like that 1-year mark where, like, you're official, maybe you, like, live together, or maybe
mhm.
you've just been dating for a long time, you're in, like, such a routine. What do you feel are some other things people slack
I
on?
think the biggest thing that people are guilty of is stopping having their own life and
Mm.
forgetting that they have friends and to make plans. Like my friend Tinks, who I love, says boyfriend
Boyfriend
sickness.
sickness.
And like if you get boyfriend sickness, it's gross.
It's
Not just to your
over.
friends, but to your boyfriend
Yeah.
too. Maybe they're into it in the beginning. They like being, like put on a pedestal, whatever. But it's not attractive for you
Yeah.
to always be available to a man.
Yeah.
It's way more attractive to your friends and this man if you continue doing you.
I love that, and also, I mean, I'm would never wish this on anyone or plan this for anyone, but, like, when you break up then,
Yeah, you're
what
fucked.
happened to your life? You have no life
You have no
anymore.
life. And also, everyone
Everyone's talking
is
about
like,
it.
of course, I bet you she's about to
Ye
text me
yes,
because
and
they
then you
broke up.
do.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then all your friends are talking shit about how you came back,
Yeah.
and it was like, "I haven't seen her for 9 months, and now here we
Mhm.
are."
Mhm.
Totally, that is such a real thing. I feel like this is kind of where I wanna talk about, like, the moving in together thing. My boyfriend just moved in.
Well,
Very
congratulations.
exciting. So I posted on TikTok and I was like, "Ladies, it's my first time living with a man. What's your best advice?" And I also was asking my friends who were in relationships, and there were just a couple of things they said. Like, one is that people fall into roommate syndrome. They stop
Mm.
having sex, they stop going on dates, they start just like living in the same space. And so, like, anyway, as I was talking about this, a bunch of people online were like, "Oh my God, I'm moving in with my boyfriend too, and I'm like scared of all this happening." So for the gang of all of us who are moving in with our boyfriends, like, what's your best advice for not being roommates when you move in?
Mm. I actually, it might be controversial, but I think it's fun to be roommates for a second. I don't mean roommates and not have sex,
Right.
but it's fun to, like, you're living
Like,
with
lean
the
in.
most fun person
Yeah.
ever to you, you know? It is really fun. Like, I remember the first night we moved in together, we ordered Domino's and, like, we're so nasty, like, as
Yeah.
if we were back in
Yeah.
college. Um, and so I kind of like that for a second. But then it's like we have to make sure the romance is still alive. I
Mhm.
love to cook for Steven.
Mm.
That's like very traditional. If he were a man who cooked, trust me, he'd be cooking for me, but
Sure.
he has no skills.
Right.
But I love to cook for him and we do go out on dates, but it's not something that we have on the calendar.
Right.
And not to knock having something on the calendar. It is great for people, especially people who are super, super busy.
Yeah.
For us, I'm just like, should we get a babysitter and go out on a date? Like,
Love.
it's more like spontaneous. There's this restaurant I wanted to try.
Yeah.
But I think, I think it's okay to enjoy being roommates with this person. It's so fun to, have that. But
Yeah.
again, it's all goes back to keeping your own life,
Yeah, true.
because you get to have this fun roommate that you have sex with at home, go out to dinner with your girlfriend.
Yes,
Then come
so
back and have the
true.
time with them. It's not always you shouldn't be doing the same thing every night. And I'm wondering, like, how have things changed for you since moving in?
So for us, like, we're just in the fun stage. I mean, it
Yeah.
was literally this week. So, like, every time we roll over in bed, we, like, can't stop giggling because we're like, "Oh my god, this is forever. This
our
is so
bed."
fun." Yeah. And it was my apartment before. It was the apartment I bought last year. And at first, when his lease was coming up, we were like, "Should we rent something a little bit bigger?" Because we both kind of work from home. But, like, neither of us has to work from home, like, we have other third spaces, but the truth is, like, I wasn't done with my renovation, like, why pay a mortgage and also pay rent somewhere?
Mhm.
And I live in a co-op, so it's, like, a little bit of a thing to rent it out to someone else. So we were just like, "Listen, like, I wanna enjoy the space after it's renovated and it feels fully my own, like, why don't you just come live here?" And it was, like, such an easy decision. But we're just like we just every single thing we do, we'll be, like, brushing our teeth, and I'm like, "It's a permanent date." Like, it's
Yeah.
so fun.
That's so cute.
So we're still in that stage, but that is, like, the one thing that everyone's kind of saying is, like, be intentional, I guess, about, like,
Mhm.
doing romantic things together that are not just, like, chores or, like, going to your workouts. Because
Yeah.
like, we have a bit that, like, everything's a date, so we'll, like, go to the dentist, and I'm like, "Date," like, but it's not, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's not like, your brains are elsewhere, you're, like, texting, you're doing other stuff.
Right.
So, that is, like, the kind of one piece of advice that I keep, coming back to.
Mm.
Similarly, something that people say is, like, the money stuff starts to change when you
Mhm.
start living together because
Yeah.
now you have shared expenses for the
Right.
first time. So, I know in your, like, dating kind of rules, it's like the person pursuing should really be paying, and the girl whatever, the girl or the person being pursued can pick up little things here and there if that's, like, feasible and if it makes sense, but that the person pursuing like, we're done with pursuing now, right? So, I think in most situations, like, rent is split. Do you recommend, like, a 50-50, a percentage based on what you make?
I think, honestly, a percentage based on what you make sounds like the best
Mhm.
situation. I think it's the most fair,
Yeah.
unless the woman makes more, in
And
which
then it's like
case
50-50,
50/50
girls.
sounds
Because my money is my
perfect.
money and your money is our money.
Exactly.
And then it's things like whatever else it is. People, ask about, like, okay, like, what about dates now? Like, what
Right.
about groceries? What about, like, all the little kind of shared
Right.
things?
Well, I also think, and obviously not in your case, but I do want to talk about your case. When you're looking for an apartment to move into,
Hmm.
let's say to rent with a boyfriend, um, and let's say he makes 3 times what you make,
Right.
and you are only comfortable spending $2,000 a month on rent, then you need to choose an apartment that's in your
Your
range,
budget.
not his.
Great call.
But if the person who makes more is like, "I make money. I wanna
Let's
live
spend it.
nice." Fine, let's
Right.
live nice. I'm
Right.
still only gonna pay 2,000.
Right.
You can pay the other 5,000.
That's a good rule. You
Done.
can, like, head off any
Mhm.
issues.
Mhm. Like, I
I
have a
like that.
girlfriend who is married now, but when they were just boyfriend, girlfriend, and she moved in, she moved into his place because he was like, I have this place. It's such a good rental. Like, I love
Mm,
it. I'm obsessed with
I
it.
don't
And
wanna
I
leave.
don't want to leave.
Yeah.
But it was out of her budget. So she was like, okay, well, here's what I can do. And like,
If
if
that's
you
okay,
want to
then
live there,
good.
yeah, exactly. And so
Yeah,
that's how it worked for them.
I think that's
How do
good.
you work it out if you're comfortable sharing
Yeah.
because you own it? Does he pay rent to you or does he like handle the groceries and everything?
We just like, he still has stuff to move over from his last apartment because the
Mhm.
lease is up in, like, 10 days or something. But I think what's happening is, like, I put a big down payment down because it was, like, a competitive unit and I
Yeah.
wanted it, and there were people offering cash. I couldn't do that, but I went up as high as I could go. So I put, like, almost 70% down, and I was like, "I just really want it, please." And luckily, the person who owned it before me was, like, a lady, and she got the apartment when she was, like, single and my age. Her dad got it for her, I think. And so I wrote, like, a little note about how I grew up dancing and I was a ballerina, and so I was always at Lincoln Center and Carnegie Hall and, like, Uptown is, like, my place, and I always wanted, like, a piece of New York that I could call mine and blah, blah, blah. And so when I put, like, 70% down and everyone else was offering cash, I had to steel myself to not get it. But my agent was like, "She really loved your little note and story, and she wants you to have it." And so
That's
I
so sweet.
yeah, it was really sweet, but anyway, as a result, my monthly payment is low, which is really good, and, the whole payment, I think, is actually lower than my boyfriend's rent right now. So we were like, "We're gonna be so rich." So what I think our system is gonna be is I pay it, and then he pays me. And then, this riled people up on TikTok, which was hilarious, but I think it's because I worded it too vaguely. We're thinking about for joint expenses, which, like, we don't have that many, like cleaning lady, groceries, laundry,
Sure.
basically.
Mhm.
We were thinking about doing like a little sort of savings account where we each put in a couple $100 a month, maybe, and then use that for the shared expenses. And the reason we were talking about doing that is because we travel a lot. We go to a lot of weddings, we go on a lot of trips, we just like are all over the place. And we figured if we could get a card that makes a lot of points, that has like a big multiplier on travel, that could be a really good way to do it. Um, so we
That's great. I don't
yeah.
see why that's controversial.
Well, because when I made my TikTok, I was like, "We're opening a bank account together," and everyone was like, "Don't merge your finances
Right,
before you're
right,
married."
right.
And I was like, "Well, we're not. We're merging like
Right, right, right.
$200 a month,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
No,
fine."
no, no. That's very
Um,
different. But I do
yeah,
think that when you move in together in a situation where it's neither of your place, like neither of you own it, you're
yeah,
going to rent, but even in your situation, you should make what my very Excel spreadsheet
love. That's
literate
us.
husband did and literally put every
Yeah,
dime that both of you have in an Excel spreadsheet
yeah.
and get like totally financially naked, as they say, and just see
I love
everything
that.
because you're about to live with this person.
Yeah,
You're hopefully only living with this person because you're going to spend your life together.
right.
You need to see it all.
I think that's right, and, like, that is kind of a tricky conversation, I think, for some people. I feel like it feels kind of unsexy and almost like I've heard from my friends, it's like it feels like you're saying to them, like, "I'm now gonna evaluate
Yeah, it feels like you're
you."
in trouble.
Yeah, like, it's like, "Okay, like, tell me, you have any debt? Like, you got
Mhm.
credit card bills? Like, what's going on?"
Mhm.
And luckily, my boyfriend works in fintech, so, like, he's so much better at accounting and money than I am. But we're doing the same thing. I was like, "I want you to make, like, an Excel sheet with every expense that we have, and then we'll talk about our finances, and then it'll help us, like, budget and, like,
Right.
plan for our lives."
Mhm.
So I think the money stuff can be tricky, but, like, it is, I think, one of the most important things that you have to talk about before you commit your life to someone.
So important.
A couple other things before you have rules for people who are in relationships
Mm.
who wanna get engaged. Um, one of the ones I really like is making friends and family fall in love with you.
Mm.
How can we do that? What are your, like, top tips for being the perfect girlfriend who everyone's obsessed with when you go to, like, a family party or, like, a friend thing? Like, how are you making them love you?
Honestly, to be the perfect girlfriend who everyone's obsessed with, what you have to do is care about these people and
Mm,
genuinely show interest in their lives. If you're just on the arm of their son, their friend, whatever, then you are just their, arm candy or whatever it is. You have to be the human that you are. Like, you have to treat them like your friends and be genuinely interested in their lives and form relationships with them, independent of your boyfriend, your, soon to be fiance. And they have to really value what you have to say. And you should be like in a texting relationship with these people, independent of your partner. You should see them independent of your partner in an obviously mutual way. You shouldn't be stalking these people,
Right.
but
Right.
it should be felt that you care for them, not just this guy.
Yeah, I love that, and also, what better feeling is there in the world than being like, "Oh, did you know this person's doing this next weekend?"
Yeah.
And your boyfriend's like, "Wait, really? Like, I didn't even know."
Or like your
And you're
mom
like,
just texted me.
yeah,
It's
and
like,
you're like, "Oh, I was talking to your mom about it." Like, I know what's going on in your parents' life and you don't, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's such a win feeling, I think.
totally.
I mean, I know, like, throughout the episode today, we've already talked about some rules for people who are in relationships but wanna get engaged, but do you have, like, a top couple that you think are, like, push you over the line level tips?
I'm trying to think because I like want to. I wish I could see the list in front of me that I had
So glad you
written.
asked. I have your account
Okay,
up.
good.
I literally have your
Because
account
my
up.
pregnancy brain is just not.
Okay, here are a couple. Have your own life, take care of them in times of need, give them freedom to hang with their friends, don't
Mm.
ultimatum, prove you can take care of yourself, make people fall in love with you, have a timeline conversation, cook once in a while, give the good back scratches, hold your own at parties, hang out with your married friends, which I think is so smart, be a safe space for them. Oh, here's an interesting one I'd like to talk about. If they take you for granted, give them a glimpse of what life is like without you. How
Yes.
the fuck do you do that?
Oh my
What does that
God. I
mean?
love that. Like, if you're dating someone and they clearly are taking you for granted for one reason or another, like, don't go off the grid, but
Fuck
like,
off.
yeah, like make them sweat for a second.
Interesting. How do you do that if you, like, live together?
I think that this is more of like an emergency situation. Like, for
Okay,
example,
things are
I have a
grave.
girlfriend whose boyfriend was not proposing, and he had said to her multiple times, "I have the ring," I'm gonna, and just was not proposing. And so she literally straight up moved in with her parents. And like, I
Damn.
don't suggest that, honestly. I don't love that as the beginning to a relationship.
Mhm.
But if you have to scare them straight, then you have to scare them straight. And like, if that doesn't work, you're walking away, obviously, right?
Obviously, yeah.
And it shouldn't have to get to that
Right, I was
point.
gonna say you might be walking away way before that
Correct.
in an
But,
ideal world.
like, just show them like you mean
Yeah,
business.
totally. That it brings me to an interesting question, which is, like, do breaks ever work in your
No,
opinion?
never.
No, like,
But I
if
wouldn't
it's
consider that a break.
right, good point, because 'cause you're not really breaking up, you're
No.
just giving
You're
the
just like,
space.
"I'm not coming back until you're ready to fucking get on
Mm.
one knee."
I will say I do feel like one of the things that and it goes back to having your own life and being independent, one of the things that can help keep you out of the roommates and routine and, like, busy schedule of it all is to, like, fuck off sometimes. Be
Yeah,
like, "I'm going away
exactly.
for a weekend with my
But
friends, I'm
by
going
the
to
way,
dinner."
you wouldn't be in that predicament that I just described if you were doing the rest of the things on that list.
So
If
true.
you were having your own life and making them miss you sometimes. If you're never gone, if you're
You're always
never
around?
gone, they're never gonna think about, like, they're never gonna have a fire under their ass to do anything with you, you know?
Right.
Like, because 'cause you're there all the
You're
time.
always an
You
option.
need to, and this is why another one of these rules is so important, which is letting them have friend time.
Mm.
Like, send them away on a boys trip. Like,
Mm.
send them, get them away,
Yeah.
or you go away.
Right.
You
Have some
have to
space.
have that. Otherwise, things are not gonna progress forward.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart point, and the truth is, like, if you're not doing all the other things we're talking about, you're not laying the foundation for something healthy anyway.
Totally.
Talking about the wedding, then you like, so we go from official to, like, living together, and then in a lot of situations, you're talking engagement, marriage, children, right? I think something that a lot of my audience is dealing with right now, because we're just, like, at that age, is, like, people are getting engaged and getting married, which means we're all wedding planning, right?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of my friends plan weddings right now. Something that I think we talk about a lot, that we notice a lot, is that wedding planning brings out the worst in a lot of people,
Mm.
and weddings in general, by the way. Um, And, like, not all the time. I'm not saying, like, wedding planning is this big horrible thing, but it causes fights, it can breed resentment, it's, like, one of the early instances, I think, in a relationship that can breed resentment and problems with you and, like, your family or your partner's family, especially because there's money involved. You feel like there are, like, obligations, like, to
Mhm.
everybody. Do you have any advice for not letting wedding planning get the best of
Yeah.
you?
Well, first of all, take the advice we talked about before, which is getting financially naked when you move in together. Because if you haven't done
Facts.
that, shit's gonna hit the fan during your wedding. And
Ooh.
when you're getting financially naked, talk about prenups in your future.
Mm.
That's another way to timeline,
Yeah, it
like
is.
sneaky timeline, you know?
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, just saying like when you get married, do you see yourself having a prenup with your partner? You know,
Mm.
just a simple conversation, like a simple question
Yeah.
about their life, not our life,
Right.
their
Your
life.
life.
But then going back to the wedding planning, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is remember why you are doing this. Why? What's your end goal? Is it to
Right.
marry each other because you love each other? I think
Should
so.
be.
It probably should be.
Yeah.
So and who do you need to please at the end of the day?
Right.
Sometimes it's you and your partner. Sometimes it's some parents too who are paying.
Totally.
So let's not lose sight of who needs to be happy at the end of the day and what your end goal is.
Yeah, I always say it is a long game. Like, one of my friends was having trouble where I think it was her mother-in-law, future mother-in-law, paid for a lot of the wedding, and so was like, "We need to invite these 50 people or something out of, like, 150." And the girl was like, "I'm not gonna be able to invite some of my friends because of this."
Mm.
And obviously, it's, like, your day, and, like, for a lot of people, it's, like, the best day of their life so far, right? But a conversation we had was kind of like, M end game, like, what's more important to you, like, the 6 hours of the wedding or your relationship with your future family? And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, I think, like, probably you make some sacrifices when your priorities are like, we're merging families, like
Exactly. And unfortunately, you have to prioritize your new family in a lot of ways. And I have
totally.
so many people that I know who are like, well, I don't want so and so to give a speech. Like, she's not my sister. And it's like, suck it up.
Yeah, like,
You
what?
know,
It's
you
2
got to
minutes.
suck it up
Yeah.
because, or like, I don't want my so and so person to get ready with me. She's not one of my people. It's like, well, she's about to be your
Yeah,
people.
so yeah, get used to
So,
it. Yeah. I also think by that point, if you're feeling like your partner's people are not your people, there's something going on there too. Like
correct.
that's a problem. Like
Yeah.
my boyfriend and I have been dating for like a little bit over a year and I am obsessed with his family like they're mine. Like I'm texting them, I'm
Hmm.
hanging out with them without him. Like I think probably if family is important to you guys as a couple and you're not feeling connected to them at all, that's a little bit of a red flag probably.
Yeah. Or just get over it.
Yeah, like, suck it up for 6 hours. How do you feel like being married changes your relationship? I mean, you and Steven dated for what, like, a year and a half before you got engaged?
Yeah, I actually don't really think it does. It definitely gives you
Love.
more security, but
Mhm.
your relationship doesn't change until you have kids.
Okay, tell me about that then. How did it change when you had
I
Zachy?
mean, it's just
Or does
it's
it
just
start do
wild.
you feel like it starts changing when you get pregnant, like, pre-kid?
Maybe, yeah.
Or
I mean, there's just like more at stake
yeah.
to, you're keeping a child alive and
Can
you
barely keep
have to
myself.
work together a lot more. It's not just
Mm.
a love marriage, it's you're working. You're
Yeah.
you're literally
You're
your
accomplishing
job
tasks
is this
together.
baby
Yeah.
together. So you now have, your coworkers
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you are family. And of
Totally.
course you're family when you're married to them, but you're not fully, I mean,
No, I
I don't know.
totally
I'm
agree.
about to get that
You're gonna
like
get hate.
such hate because you can be family with a dog, obviously.
Sure.
You could be
Okay.
family just you two married,
Yeah.
and so many people who choose a child-free life, they're still family,
Yeah, of
right?
course,
But
totally.
when you add a child into it, it's like an undeniable family
Yeah.
thing.
It's a group
It's a
activity
group. You're a
suddenly.
group.
Yeah, you're there's no longer 2 of you. It is not
Mhm.
about that. I have a bunch of people having, like, all different questions about, like, okay, the kid's here. How do we remain ourselves? How do we remain a couple? How do we remain not co-parents and not roommates, but, like, keep things interesting, keep things sexy? And, like, I think probably you tell me after a kid, it's a little bit harder to have your independent life. And of course, you still have like your friends and you still have things, but especially when baby is little. Like, it's the 3 of you all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, or it's like at least you and the baby a lot.
Totally.
So like what are your tips for like that big change, like right in the beginning of it?
I think the biggest one is try to be open to a village of people to help, whether that's your mom, your mother-in-law, paid help, whatever it is. Don't shy away and try to be a martyr and do everything
Yeah.
because you will end up miserable, resentful, like in pain, honestly, because you would have
Totally.
just delivered a baby.
Yeah.
And that is just no good.
Yeah.
And I think also having very open dialogue of like, I just don't want to have sex with you for 4 months.
Yeah.
But like during that time, like we could like, you
We
could
could be
masturbate on
sexy.
me, like whatever the fuck
Sure.
you want.
Right.
But like, here's how I'm feeling. And like,
Yeah.
I will feel good and myself again in this time.
Yeah.
Kind of recognizing that we're just going to be surviving for the next X amount.
Yeah.
So like anything you need, like don't like simmer your needs.
Right.
Because like I'm also taking care of this kid. Like, let's be
Sure.
honest. Let's keep the communication very open,
Yeah.
dialogue.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then like just don't forget to do what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Because if it's just you three and you don't have any help, which has been our situation at points, I'm like, I need to go to my workout today.
Yeah.
So I'm
Give
gonna
me
need
an hour to
you.
myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to take Zachary, and I'm gonna need to go to my workout today. I'm gonna be nicer to you after. I'm gonna be nicer to everyone.
Yeah.
And you'll see.
It'll be
And
good.
yeah, and
for
vice
all of us.
versa. I'm gonna take Zachary. Why don't you go work out? Because I know that you're gonna
Totally.
come back in such a better mood. We're gonna, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like help each other be your best selves.
Yeah, I really like that because I think a big thing that I hear from my followers who are married who are like, we're starting to talk about having kids. I'm just scared to lose what we have because it's similarly to what we were saying before. Like, there's no going back kind of after I love you. Like, there's really not going back after having a kid. Like, that is a
Yeah.
permanent change in your life. Whether, by the way, like, even people who are divorced, right? Like, their life is forever changed for having a kid, no matter what. And so I do feel like it's one of those things where it's like, we're not ready to lose this. Like, you're so excited for a baby, but you're so excited so you're so nervous to kind of lose what you had before. And I feel like it's totally fair to like miss that life too, while still being happy and excited about this new chapter.
Yeah.
But I hear that a lot is like, it's kind of like time, but does that mean we leave everything behind?
No, it definitely doesn't. And also going back to the village thing, like, and everyone is different. I have friends who have never left their kid ever once or
Yeah.
never been comfortable with their kid, even with a babysitter at night for them to go on a date.
Mm.
I believe that for my relationship, it's important to have a date every so often, whether it's a double date, just the two of
Yeah.
us. So I have, I found a babysitter who can come while my son's asleep and
Yeah.
whatever. Or we had my cousin's wedding this summer in Europe. And so we left my son with my in-laws for a little, like,
Fun.
and of course you miss your children, but
Yeah.
it like revives your connection with your partner. And it's like, it is sexy again to be alone with them.
Yeah, you're like, wait, we can have sex and we're not going to wake up a screaming baby in a few
Yeah.
minutes. It's amazing.
Also like, hi, it's
Yeah.
good to see you as you.
You're
and not
hot
dad
in a
dad.
tux. Like,
Yeah.
love that for us.
Uh-huh.
Totally. I feel like that's really important and very exciting. Lindsey, thanks for being here. Always having like such an open conversation about this stuff. I think a lot of these questions, people like, it's so much easier to ask them in the DMs than it is to like sit down with people and have them IRL sometimes, because it's like, not everyone wants to like go to girls' night and be like, so we haven't had sex in 3 months,
Right.
or like, so, he hasn't proposed and I'm freaking out. And like, I think too, our friends, like the best friends, are the ones who will sit there and listen to you say the same thing 100 million times. Like, I really firmly believe in that. But it doesn't feel good for you to do the same thing over and over either. And you are just like such a good source of knowledge and information. You have so much access to like all this data from your followers. You have the fuck boys on your podcast. You talk to them directly. You know everything. So I'm just so grateful for you coming here and like listening to everyone's like fears and problems and approaching them with like information and advice in a way that's so safe. You're so safe.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Love
being
you.
here. I love hanging out with you.
Me
Come
too.
back anytime.
I'm so down.